Hey everybody, happy Friday. I just wanted to hop on and do a quick live just to talk about some of the stuff that we're seeing in the financial markets and just kind of some of the stuff I've been thinking about lately. So, hey Delon, glad to see you here. So today I actually closed my bank account at what somebody might call a big bank, just one of the traditional banks that we're used to hearing all the time. And I decided to switch to a credit union. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that and things that you guys might consider and ultimately kind of what led me to that decision and thinking that this could be a really good option. So I'm sure most of you guys have seen by now everything that's happened with Wall Street and the hedge funds and GameStop, and then ultimately the decision to shut down trading for individual people on apps like Robinhood. And really behind that was the hedge funds themselves. So Robinhood, the app, although they claim to be for everyday traders, they actually are working with hedge funds. The hedge funds are their clients because they sell the user's data to those hedge funds who are, buying it from them for obvious reasons, the same reason everybody sells our data. And so really just looking at it where this platform that is supposed to be for the average middle class trader, pretending to be loyal to them and ultimately still being paid off by these big billion-dollar hedge funds, it really makes you think a lot about the financial institutions in the country and, really what we should be doing to either make smarter decisions or protect ourselves or whatever it may be. So the first thing I wanted to talk about that a lot of people really don't know anything about is the World Economic Forum. So the World Economic Forum meets every year, maybe every 2 years. And so they just wrapped up their 2021 summit, so to speak. This is something that was supposed to happen in May, and it was scheduled for May, and they ended up moving it up to January this past week. So most people don't even know that the World Economic Forum exists, but you should, because it literally dictates essentially what happens financially in the rest of the world. What happens at this summit does not stay at the summit. It ends up being taken back to all of these countries where these different participants are. So if you guys have never looked that up, you can go to weforum.org or just type in World Economic Forum and you can take a look at exactly what this is. So ultimately, this is the gathering of the world's top financial and political elite to talk about the state of world economics and what they want to do about it. So this is where they create actionable ideas that they implement on a widespread basis. So this is where the Paris Climate Accord came into effect. This is also where Greta Thunberg got famous by speaking at the World Economic Forum. It's also where things like the Iran nuclear deal began a discussion, things such as the Green New Deal, all of these things, they start as discussions at the World Economic Forum. And then essentially what they talk about and decide gets taken back to their prospective countries, and they start implementing these things. So some of the biggest names in the world have just attended this forum. They did it digitally this year for obvious reasons. And I think you'd be pretty interested to take a look at their agenda. So the agenda that they have set forth may sound well and good to some people, but I think that knowing what we know about the financial institutions, it puts a lot of what they're discussing into serious perspective. So I would encourage you to just go to the website, check it out, dig into it, research it yourself, and understand that this is an active conversation that's happening between the biggest financial players in the entire world. Well, we've just seen the biggest financial players in the entire world kind of shut down the little guy in the last week. So I wouldn't say that public opinion is super high of these types of companies right now. And I do wonder how that is going to impact what they discuss next regarding their plans at this forum. I would highly encourage you to always be thinking about how to protect your personal finances. So the main focus of the 2021 World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, was something called the Great Reset. And again, it's interesting because this is a huge thing, but still a lot of people have never heard of it. They don't know about it. And so they talk about something called the Great Reset. There's, pages on their website. They've made videos about it. And I'm going to post the link to one of those videos in the comments. And this is a video specifically from the World Economic Forum, and it's going to talk you through exactly what they plan to do and, some very interesting points as well that I think you guys will find kind of amusing, if not slightly concerning. So again, take a look, very important. But what is the Great Reset? So essentially, the Great Reset is the decision of all of these global financial players that they would like to essentially reset the entire world economy. And I think that, COVID and all of the horrible impacts that it's had on our society, on our economies across the world, this has really been what they've been talking about regarding COVID for quite some time. This has been discussed for months, that this gives them the opportunity to implement the Great Reset that they have been planning on for many, many years. And this is all public information. So definitely get familiar with the Great Reset. But what would happen in something like a Great Reset? Well, the truth is nobody actually knows, but we do know what they have said. And they've made it very clear that they would like to reset the global economy and create some type of, controlled cryptocurrency. So I'm not a crypto expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I do know that it is not regulated. It's decentralized. They cannot control it. And so the concept is to create something that they can control, and essentially make all finance digital, trackable. I mean, I would argue hackable. So that is just a total change from the way that financial institutions have always worked, and that we have always viewed our money. And, in terms of the actual money itself, it's a dramatic change. So again, what that actually looks like at the end of the day, who really knows? But I do know that a Great Reset sounds like taking everything that exists and switching it up significantly. So what does that mean for you? Well, probably means that you should be thinking about what you're doing with your money and who you're entrusting with your money. So like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I decided to switch to a local credit union. And I did not know too much about local credit unions until I started digging in a lot more about the Great Reset, specifically to see what type of implications could this have? What do I need to be doing to prepare or protect myself and my finances? And when researching that, I came across this really great video, and I cannot remember her name at the minute, but she was a former associate of housing and urban development in, I think it was the Bush administration in the early 200s. And she was speaking out against, some of these big banking institutions and the way that they operate, and they operate opposed to their actual customers, which are you and I who bank with them. Their loyalties are to the same people that are controlling these hedge funds that are shutting down trading on GameStop. They're all kind of interconnected, one and the same. Big finance is a very small group of people at the end of the day. And so she was saying that she was banking with Chase Bank for years and years. And then knowing everything that she did, she asked herself, why am I banking with this company that I despise? Why am I banking with this company that I know does these horribly unethical things? And so she decided to switch to a local credit union. And so it was the first time I'd really heard somebody explain exactly why that matters and what a credit union is. And so the cool thing about it is that they are based in local communities, and they're actually owned by the people who bank with them. So they call them members. So if you bank with a credit union, you're a member, and you're actually a stakeholder in that company. You get to vote on who that board of directors is, and they do not have shareholders that they are loyal to. They are loyal to the people who actually bank there, and it's a much smaller organization, and actually supports your local community a lot more than banking at some national or global franchise institution. So the first thing is that it helps your local community. And I'm all about helping local businesses, helping small businesses. And this is a great way to do it, getting involved with a credit union. It's also something that will help you take another stand against these big financial institutions. If you've been just disgusted by everything that's happened with Wall Street and the hedge funds, it's all tied together, and keeping your money at these banks, it's supporting those businesses. And so if you don't want to support those businesses and don't want to support that type of activity in the market, then what you can do to take a stand is very simple. Take your money away from those big banks and put them into your local credit union, because those are the people who are going to have your back at the end of the day. And I'm not saying that, every credit union is perfect and that they'll never do the wrong thing. But I do know that the bigger something is, the more corrupt it typically is. And the smaller something is, the more, controlled and typically close to its roots it's going to be. And that's what a local credit union is going to do. And they have all the same type of banking options that a regular bank is going to have. They have thousands and thousands and thousands of ATM partnerships. So you can still use like any ATM. It doesn't matter if there's one really, really close to you. I think most of us, we probably do direct deposits, and we deposit, checks with our phone these days. So I haven't been to a physical bank in forever. And so it truthfully doesn't matter, but I know everybody really wants to have access to ATMs and things like that. The one that I have gone to, they actually have like $15 a month that you can actually spend on ATM fees if they're not in the network, and they'll reimburse you. So lots of really great things that I learned about credit unions after I started researching it, and now switching to one. It makes me feel really good, like I'm doing something to take a stand against something that I strongly disagree with. So it's a very easy thing for all of us to do. After we decided to close our bank account, it really further assured me that I was making the right decision, because going into a bank and telling them that, you want to take all of your money that you've deposited and you want to, take it out, not really very well received. So it's really funny, because it's your money that's in that bank account. It's not anybody else's. They ask you a lot of questions about why you want it, what you're doing with it, things that are completely none of their business. And it really, brings up some questions about, okay, like, why do you think I owe you any explanation about what I do with my money? It also is very difficult to do that. It takes time, because they don't have that money in the bank. And so, they're going to have to go through this process. And it also really just shows you, if there was any sort of rush on the bank like there was in the 1930s during the Great Depression, you would have zero chance of getting your hard-earned money out of the bank. I mean, that's just a fact. Even in times where nobody's rushing the bank, it takes a week, if not more, just to get that and close your account. So I would say that, to me, that spoke volumes. First and foremost, the way that we were treated just for wanting to close our own bank account, the interrogation that takes place surrounding that, and really just not a sense that you are in any way a valued customer, that they kind of feel like, you're obligated to bank with them. Like, you have to be banking with them. Who could you possibly be going to? And again, it's none of their business. But if you want to make sure that your money is in a place that there's going to be a lower chance of someone, I don't know, doing something that you wouldn't personally love done with that money, because they invest that money. The money doesn't sit in the bank. They take it from your account. That goes wherever they want. And that's why it takes time to get that out. They actually have to send off for it. It does not exist like in their location. So they're taking your money and investing it in places. And if you're not confident that those businesses are ethical and you don't support what they're doing in everyday life, then you shouldn't be banking with them, because you're actually a part of their negative decisions. So I thought this was a really great, simple, actionable step for people to take that feel the way I do. And that's also going to support their local community that needs it more than ever right now. It is a business. It's a local business. There are people there that will really appreciate that business and will work to keep your business. They will go above and beyond to try and make sure that you're taken care of because they really care, and they are serving this community that they exist in. It's not something that's very far removed like some of those large corporations. So again, check out the World Economic Forum. Take a look at the agenda. I'm going to post that video link right now in the comments. Definitely hit up around the 54-second mark, but watch the whole thing. Very eye-opening, straight from the World Economic Forum right there. And that'll explain what they call the Great Reset and why you should potentially be really paying attention to what's happening in that regard. So hopefully this has been valuable. Just thought it was a good time to bring it up. Definitely on my mind today as we make this shift in our own personal banking lives, and hopefully it'll help somebody else make a good decision to go with a local business that's going to support you and will really protect your finances in a way that others just likely aren't going to. So have a great weekend and talk to you soon. Bye-bye.